Australia has vowed to step up policing of COVID-19 lockdown rules in Sydney. Despite being in week 7 of lockdown, the city has reported more than 340 new infections, another daily record. 1/3 of the new cases were infectious while in the community. Authorities say they are still seeing lots of unnecessary movement of people. But they say tougher measures, including a curfew, are not needed yet. Australia is in a race to vaccinate at least 70% of the population by the end of the year. That aim will get a boost when 1 million doses of the Moderna vaccine arrive at the end of the month. Australia's Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, hopes the country will be able to return to normal by the end of the year.
We are in a tough fight with this Delta strain. A tough fight. And I want to thank everyone across New South Wales, right across the country. Other places going through lockdowns as well, but we know that the fight in New South Wales is the toughest of all of those fights, and there's a lot at stake. I want Australia to get to Christmas, but I want everybody around that table at Christmas time.
Danielle Robertson joins us from Sydney for more. Danielle, how will enforcement measures be stepped up?
Yeah, well, these measures are going to be stepped up. The surge in cases suggests that the strategy at the moment isn't working and that people are not following the rules. So police have vowed to crack down on those who aren't following the COVID lockdown rules. Now, what they are going to do is police those areas more highly in the areas that have the highest number of COVID cases. And the Army is also going to be on the streets as well to assist authorities, ensuring that people are following the rules, making sure that there's a limited amount of people inside shops is one of the target areas, as well as making sure people are wearing masks, also outdoors, because that is now mandatory in some regions, and ensuring that residents aren't leaving their 10-kilometre radius zone. And they're going to set up more checkpoints. Basically, there's going to be more patrols to ensure that there's no unnecessary movement. But the restrictions here are already extremely tight. And one of the main forms of transmission is within households. That's basically people entering homes that they're not supposed to. And that's something that is extremely hard to track and to monitor every single person going in and out of a household. Now, some have called for even tougher restrictions. Some have called for a ring of steel around Sydney, particularly considering we have more cases in the regions. But the Premier has said the pathway to freedom is vaccinations.
Speaking of vaccinations, Danielle, the Prime Minister says he wants a return to normal by Christmas. How realistic is that, given the vaccine sort of rollout?
Yeah, and I guess the other question is, what does normal mean within a pandemic? I guess to reach some sort of new normal by Christmas is possible. Really, it's a vaccination race that we're getting on at the moment. Now, vaccines aren't mandatory in Australia, but if we can keep up with the trajectory that we have seen over the last few weeks, which is hundreds of thousands of people getting the jab every week, then potentially it is realistic to see some sort of new normal by Christmas. But there are a lot of factors that go into this. In Australia, there's still hesitancy from a lot of people to get the AstraZeneca vaccine due to the mixed messaging around that jab over the last few months. Others are waiting to get the Pfizer vaccine, which is in short supply here. And of course, Moderna is due to arrive here. But how long it takes for Moderna to arrive here and then get jabs in arms will depend on the efficiency of the vaccination rollout plan, which so far has been extremely slow. The Prime Minister is sticking to the target of 70% of the population to be fully vaccinated before we can end lockdowns and have more freedom. At the moment, Australia is still sitting around the 20% mark, so still a very long way to go. But with more lockdown fatigue, it is making more people roll up their sleeves and get the jab.
All right, Mayor, thanks for getting us up to speed. Danielle Robertson speaking to us from Sydney.